For people who can't access marches, first of all, if you want to go to a rally or a protest, there are other events that I think are more accessible for people. We do a lot of honkin' waves, which are really good stationary events that are meant to be accessible for people with disabilities. We have a lot of older folks who participate in those because they're stationary. They are at high visibility locations, and they are about letting people know the resistance is here. They're about a public demonstration. And if you think that those are like performative and not useful, I have to tell you, I've heard after a couple of these or during a couple of these from immigrants who are walking by or are in the park near the honkin' wave that we're having, how grateful that they are, that they don't feel safe participating in those kinds of activities. And it's really meaningful for them to see that there are people who support them, that there are people who are speaking out against what ICE is doing. That matters. Any visual display of resistance really, really matters. But there's so much more that we can and should be doing. I'm really a big fan of taking a little bit of training so that you understand what kind of tactics you can engage in terms of nonviolent direct actions. Most people in the resistance movement are not going to be willing to get arrested. Most people in the resistance movement are not willing to put themselves on the line and get pepper sprayed or shot with rubber bullets. And y'all, honestly, like, that's okay. We don't need most people to get arrested. There are certain people who are willing to volunteer for that role. There are certain people who are willing to engage in civil disobedience, understanding the consequences that go with that. But hey, y'all, they need everybody behind them, supporting them. So if somebody is willing to get arrested, if somebody like Pastor David Black in Chicago, you're willing to get pepper sprayed while you are praying in front of ICE, then we need people who are willing to do things like create bail funds. We need people who are willing to do things like create strike funds. I think so often people discount the value of contributing financially to resistance.